Hi, I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. And the topic today is spot on for us. It's how do I make my marriage work alone? Hi, welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. And this topic fits us very well. How do I make my marriage work alone? Because to tell you the truth, that's what I've discovered is the only way to make your marriage work is alone. Now, I know that it's hard to hear that, and you're probably thinking, well, I was expecting that there is some alternative way to do this because my husband or my wife doesn't want to chip in and go to marriage counseling or work on the marriage with me. But I'm here to tell you that all of that stuff, and don't leave when you hear this, all that stuff is wrong. Why? Well, I'll give you a few examples of why, but I'm going to mostly focus on what works, okay? And trust me, that working on your marriage alone works. And the alternative is, how do we work on our marriage together? And there's some people out there who do a good job with that, like Gottman. But mostly, we're not on the same page in our marriage all the time. You know that. You might be feeling hot. He or she is feeling cold. You want to do this. They want to do that. Well, when I first started helping people with their marriages, and this is in 2001, let me start there. I was a divorce mediator. And people came to me to end their marriage. I had a big 4x8 whiteboard, and I would help people divvy up their assets in a respectful way and work out a plan for taking care of the children in a respectful way, in a positive way. And I was very good at helping people work together. And so one couple said, "Can you help us save our marriage instead of end it?" Professionally, I probably should have said, that's not what I do. But I said, okay, let me try. Give me a few months to look into marriage. And so what happened was I wanted to discover marriage anew. Because at that time, I was divorced. I had a 20-year marriage that didn't work. And it was a hell of a marriage for both myself and my ex-wife. We weren't happy. And I had plenty of money. So we went to the best marriage counselors, and we were in San Diego, California, which is a very sophisticated place. And it didn't help us. In fact, what ended our marriage was the best of the best, suggesting that we sit down together and talk about what we don't like about each other. Oh my God, talk about the worst advice ever. That really was the final straw in our marriage. And so I started to look into marriage, and I discovered some things that were blowing my mind. I began with a question: why do we get married in the first place? It's an individual decision, you see. It's like, yes, you come together and you go, one of you says, "Do you want to get married?" And others, "Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking too." But it was the individual thinking that started it, right? You're an individual. You never become merged. Definitely not your personalities. One's a man and one's a woman. You don't merge. Maybe in a science fiction movie, but you don't merge. You're an individual, they're an individual. And you're either an individual woman or an individual man. And so you think and behave very differently from your spouse. And so what I discovered was that, okay, so the goal of marriage is to be happy. All right, let's cut to the chase. I want to be happy. And the universal panacea for happiness is love. Great, got it. So when I met with my first couple finally, I said, okay, can we all agree that we want to be happy? Yes, great. And can we all agree that The main ingredient for happiness is love. Yeah. And in fact, that if you're feeling love, you can't even feel anger while you're feeling love. It's set aside. And when you're feeling love, everything is small in comparison to that. So you don't fight over little things and stuff, right? Right. Okay. So let's do this. Let's make it binary. There are beneficial attributes. There are beneficial things you could put into your marriage. And there are detrimental things. I'm really literally giving you our very first session of my very first couple. Yeah, totally makes sense. And so what we did was we listed the negative things, the beneficial things. For instance, the detrimental things would be being critical, right? Being condemning, saying something that is just condemning, criticizing. These are negative. So don't. Okay, I can do that. Not really, but that brings us into a whole nother topic. And the beneficial things are reinforcing, I love you, reinforcing, I'm here for you, reinforcing, you're so attractive to me. So, we break it down into those two. Now, that's not all of marriage, obviously, but it's a good place to start. So what I did was I started by working with couples. That was my first couple, and they were easy because they really wanted their marriage to work. And couples counseling is good under two conditions. One, both of you are on the same page of wanting to heal your marriage and transform it, not just fix it, but transform it. And number two, you have a counselor, hopefully one who's trained in the Gottman methods, who understands that you should only be working towards the future, not in the past. Unfortunately, there are some Gottman therapists who take you back to, as an example, but I don't believe in that. So when I started working with couples, I saw some things that were very interesting, and talking to my marriage counselor friends were normal. The biggest was there's always only one who really wants to do the marriage counseling, and the other one is dragged in out of fear of losing their marriage. But they choose marriage counseling because that's what we're bombarded with, that couples counseling is good. But the truth is, it's not. So that's kind of a big one. That one person is sitting there going, okay, this is going to end soon. I got to get out of here. And the other one is what? Blaming, complaining, competing for attention. I've had women flirt with me. I've had men try to do bromance on me to get me to take a side. But you're married. What about a side? So I started to realize this doesn't work. And I started saying, okay, which one of you, and I would help them. In the beginning, I said, which one of you really wants to work on the marriage? Well, that's a setup, because no one's going to admit that they don't want to. So I started to choose the one who really wants the marriage to work. And I'd say, look, why don't you, so-and-so, man or woman, didn't matter, why don't you meet with me next week? Can we meet at this time? And you, so-and-so, if you want, we could set up an appointment later. And that worked, because the one who wanted to work on the marriage was desperate for help. And the one who didn't want to work on their marriage at the moment was given permission to put this off forever, maybe. So now we're at the core. The core is the one who wants to work on the marriage is the one who's going to enthusiastically learn what's necessary to create a better marriage. And so both of the books that I've written are geared towards the individual. Although I made it open and I said, you could read it to each other. But more importantly, eventually we got an online course for women and an online course for men. And here's the coolness of it. And this wasn't me who first said this, but when one of you is working on the marriage, think of it as what really holds you together is a bridge between you as souls. So let's say one of you is on one side of the river and the other is on another side of the river. Only one of you needs to build that bridge. And then you could meet in the middle or more to one side or the other. It doesn't matter. The point is that the one of you who's interested in transforming your marriage is given in our course all the education, all the tools, all the motivation, all of the explanation that you will ever need to build that bridge between the two of you. And this is the good part. We've been doing this for over 25 years, and it works. It works. It's not miraculous. It's not magic. It works because it's the right way to do it. You're an individual. They're an individual. Work on your end, you might say, your end, by getting educated. And not only will you grow like crazy, because that's part of it. There's a lot of self-growth involved in having marriage because none of us are mature enough to be married when we get married or after 80 years of marriage. But you learn, and it inspires your spouse. Most importantly, think of your marriage as a container. If you have a container and you put only sweet things in there, candy and cake and maple syrup and honey, that's going to be filled with sweetness. But if you start infusing it with bad stuff, acid and poison and nasty stuff, it dilutes the joy. But if you're proactively putting in the joy into your marriage, it's going to push out the other stuff. And that's what it's all about. I can tell you right now, why does it work? Well, there's a lot of reasons why it works. What are the reasons it doesn't work? It never doesn't work. And that's the beauty of it. So go ahead and get one of my books or get the course for men or the course for women and transform your marriage. I know this was helpful for you if you've been paying attention. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. There's a lot of people in your situation. So share this video with your friends or share it on social media. Like the video. And if you think that you need to hear more of these videos, go ahead and subscribe so it comes up in your feed. But we're here to help you. And if you have a specific question, go to the comments section, put it in, I'll address it. Or if you want, write to our counselors. There's a link below. Ask a counselor. It's free. We're here to serve you. We're here to make it so your marriage can be unbelievably happy. That's what it's all about. I'm Paul Friedman. I thank you for stopping by. God bless you and take care.